Welcome back to Recruiter Fuel. We're in episode number 6 of this series, and I've got with me Melissa again. Melissa, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to switch gears, and we're going to go a little old school recruiting here.
Okay.
So everybody's talking about how to find candidates. Where do you source them from? LinkedIn, AI, all these tools that are out there. But we're going to go back to something that I don't even hear being talked about online, and that's the relationship between the recruiter and the candidate. So when you think about the term candidate relationship, what comes to mind?
Candidate relationship, I think you have to treat it like any other relationship you have in your life, possibly a friendship. Just you want to keep in contact. If you didn't call your friend for over a month and they were expecting a call from you, they're probably going to be a little upset at you. And they're not going to, I mean, that's my take on it in terms of, I always learned that follow-up is key because that's going to set me apart from the 15 other recruiters possibly calling that person.
So you're talking building a relationship versus transactional.
Yeah.
And it's a term that we throw around all the time, but we're so focused on using technology for everything. Can you use technology to build a relationship?
I think you can in terms of LinkedIn. I think that's usually a starter, but then you kind of want to take that off the social media aspect and actually go back old school and speak to somebody over the phone, because I think so many people are in that transactional phase, but with the market, it really doesn't line up. You know, you're competing for a very small candidate pool, so how are you going to stand out from the 20 other in-mails that were sent to you? So you have to, I think communication is the best.
So old school is now new school again?
I think so.
It's gone
I
back
would
to
say
the
so,
beginning?
yeah. I
So-
think you have to go back to basics.
So you just said something kind of interesting. You've got to stand out from everybody
Yep.
else out there on LinkedIn.
Right.
How?
By giving a good candidate experience. What I mean by that is making sure from the initial contact, even all the way through an offer stage, you're constantly communicating with the candidate so they know what's going on. So you don't have an initial phone screen, say you'd be great for this role, submit them, and then they never hear from you for 2 weeks.
The black hole?
Yeah, because I've been in that before where I interviewed early in my career for something. I went on 5 interviews and I didn't hear back about an offer for like 3 weeks after the fact, and I had to follow up.
So how much is too much, though? So you're saying follow up, communicate, and so
Yeah.
on. When does it become stalker-ish for a recruiter to be doing that, right?
I think just checking in, doing pulse checks to, not every day, I don't think, depending on where you're at in the process, but I think just as long as the candidate is fully aware of the actual process you're going to be taking them through from the initial phone screen to a possible offer is where you need to kind of figure out with each candidate, is this okay to give them a call? Because some candidates don't want to be talked to every other day
Sure.
or twice a week.
A little creepy.
Yeah. So you kind of figure that out. And I think, again, you learn that by having phone calls with the person.
Or video or in
Right.
person if they're
Skype,
local.
in person, if they're local. I think that builds a lot more credibility, too. If they can see you and say, oh, I can, meet this person, whether it be on Skype or in person, that probably stands out a little better than just phone if they can.
So I had a coffee meeting with somebody this morning, and this guy was telling me, and he happens to be in the digital marketing space. So of course everything is
Yeah.
email and in-mail and everything else. And the recruiter reached out to him. They had a good conversation about it, but then he reached back out to the recruiter, and the recruiter said, "Yeah, I don't have time to talk to you on the phone. You can tweet me." No kidding. He told me that
Wow.
this morning. So where does that go with?
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds bad, but you can
Yeah.
tweet me. But where's this thing going with recruiters? It just seems like the younger generation of recruiters doesn't quite get the relationship building that you're talking about.
I agree. I think with anything, but I think everybody still wants that form of communication, right? Like you don't want to be communicating with somebody just via text and email, right? You still want to know that person that could possibly change your life by getting you the job that you've always wanted. So you have to stand out, because I just don't think tweeting somebody or sending an in-mail, what are you really going to find out about that person?
Yeah, you can only get so far. But a good way to start the relationship, to your point. So if I'm a brand newly minted recruiter and I have zero experience and I'm coming in and I say, Melissa, give me some advice around this whole candidate relationship thing. Simple, plain Jane advice. What is it going to be?
I would say I'm going to go back to old school.
Yeah.
Treat people how you want to be treated. You know, go back
cardinal
to
rule.
a cardinal golden rule. My teachers would be proud.
Yeah.
You know, you just want to have that open communication, because when somebody doesn't show up for a job or they turn down an offer, there's probably something you missed, and it was probably due to some type of communication drop at some point in the process.
No kidding.
So if you do everything on your end to keep that communication going, and the person for whatever reason doesn't take the position, it is what it is. But in my experience, it always comes full circle, and you probably might deal with that person at another time, and at least they could say, I had a really good experience with Melissa, and they could become a client at some point.
Or they refer another candidate to you because
Exactly.
of their experience.
Yeah, and it builds your network and credibility.
So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Guys, this has been another edition of Recruiter Fuel. Sometimes you got to go back old school, and it comes around and becomes new school again. Make sure you come back for the next episode, where we're going to be talking about somewhat of a touchy subject, and we're going to be dealing with the issue of diversity. See you guys next time.